What's up, guys? Welcome to the Get Aligned podcast, where we answer questions and cover topics to help you align your business with success. Today, we got the one, the only Director of Sales for the Align team, Omar Shubi, with me today. Brother, what's going on?
How are you doing, bro?
Good, man.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, it's always a good topic.
We got a good one today. It is why don't agents do the work? So many agents out there just doing a couple deals a year. Stats just came out, right? Like 70% of agents did one deal or less or something. Like, why is that? What the heck? Let's uncover some of these reasons, get into some of the maybe hangups that we see over and over and over, and how agents out there can maybe get around them and figure this thing out, just do the work that we know needs to be done to get the results.
Yeah, I think one point that we should chat about a little bit here is what I see the top agents do. I won't mention any names, but there's, you're always the typical same people that show up to the office day in, day out. Is they're surrounding themselves by the people that are already doing it.
Yeah.
So, we're in Wyckoff today. I show up here and there is 5, 6, 7 agents doing the work day in, day out. Those are typically the agents that are doing 4 or 5 transactions a month. If I'm sitting here, and I tell agents this all the time, I literally can, if I'm a brand new agent, I can come in here and sit for a full day, not pick up the phone, not do anything. I just sit here and listen and absorb, and I bet you anything, if you show up the next day, you're going to have those talk tracks, you're going to have some pointers to talk about, you're going to have some examples to talk about. And for me, I started in this business in 2019, so I'm like still relatively new in the business.
Yeah, right? Relatively new, selling $20 million a year, running a sales organization.
Right. So But to talk about that, the way I learned is when I first started, for example, I don't know a single agent that loves prospecting. If
maybe
you know,
Danny Spitz.
Maybe Danny's. He's not involved in that conversation.
He's the one.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because when I first started, all that I had to do was look. This was during COVID times. I would tell Danny, whenever you're on Zoom, send me the invite, and all I want to do is sit there and listen. And I think I did that for, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or so, like breaking it here and there. One day I'm doing the work, the next day I'm listening to him. But after a while, you start using the same processes that he uses, right? You start using the same talk tracks.
Same language, same tone.
And when you practice that, you start finding ways that, might work for him that don't work for me. And I just literally, the script is in front of me and I don't like something, cross it out and change it with something that I like. And that works so well for me. But just going back to your point, it's who you surround yourself with, listening to what's working with those other agents that's going to move the needle and move people down the funnel.
I couldn't agree with you more on that point, because I could think back. So what is it? In a week or two, it's my 12-year anniversary in the business, right? And when I got started in real estate in a RE/MAX office, who the broker is one of my best friends today. He's like a second father to me. He's a mentor,
right?
But it was a true brokerage. It wasn't a team. Right. Teams weren't a thing then, right? So it wasn't all the structure, training, leads, all this stuff. It was just like, we have an office, we have the best producers. Just get your butt in the office. Yeah. And I literally just went to the office. And I'm like, oh, that person sells 20 deals a year. They do a bunch of open houses. Let's do open houses. Oh, that person does 20 deals a year. They do all these client events. We should do client events. And this person's on the phone all day and I hear what they're saying and they do a bunch of business every year. And all of a sudden I was building a business plan just by watching what the other people did, right? So there's this, we just talked about, a bunch of masterminds and stuff that Brett and I went to, just getting an EXP 5 or 6 years ago. Just putting yourself in the right rooms with the right people that grow. Right. So a lot of agents, I think, that get stuck and don't do the work are just not in the right culture and the environment.
Absolutely.
And these things can be created virtually too, to your point, right? Because a lot of things are virtual now. And a lot of people don't have offices to go into, or it's too far for them, or whatever the reason is. Your example of what you did with Danny is an example of what you need to find if you can't find a physical environment.
And the beauty of that too, now looking back at it, that probably forced Danny during that time to make those calls. Right. So it's like a two-way accountability street. It forced me to listen to what he was doing. It forced me to create a script for myself. And like now, after practicing it over and over again, when I pick up the phone, it's second nature to me. I don't even have to think about it. I can be multitasking. You know, by the time someone picks up, I know what I'm talking about. I've already looked at the house on Google Maps.
Yep.
I've already have everything that I need to know to have a meaningful conversation, because I don't want to call you, Jeff, about 123 Banana Street and know nothing about it.
Right.
So like, again, surrounding yourself with the people that are doing it at a high level, you're always going to pick up some things that are working very well for them. And, you know, that Bill Pipes talked about it this morning with showing up to the office. There's just some element to it that you show up and that's your workspace. It's
Absolutely.
No matter how nice your home office is, you go to the office, there's work that needs to be done.
Absolutely. And I think something you just said I want to hit on too, because you said when you had Danny giving you the Zoom links and stuff, and like that created accountability for him. Mm-hmm. Accountability is one of the things on my list too, of why agents don't do the work. Like, why is it so simple, but it's not easy? Look, you said it before. No one woke up and was born and liked prospecting.
No one.
It's just not a thing.
No,
like, it's not fun. It's against human nature.
But it works.
If you can get your brain to accept doing it and like somewhat excited around it because of the results and because of the future and everything, like that's the best you could do. The actual doing it, there's always going to be a little bit of like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So if you're in the beginning, like you're not that good at it yet, you don't have that muscle yet, you don't have that connection to the future vision of your business and your family's finances or whatever the connection is, you need some accountability to get
Absolutely.
there. Like you need someone else that's going to show up and give you a hard time, or someone else who's counting on you, like in your case, right? Or you need a group that's going to show up every couple of days together and say, hey, how'd you do? Where's your numbers? Hey, why did your numbers not get there? What got in your way? Let's talk around it as a group, right? And I think accountability is, who says it? Sheplack, accountability is the highest form of love.
I think so,
or something like that. Yeah. It really is. And it's kind of like tough love too, to a certain degree, right? I do this with my kids too, like keeping them accountable to, you said you want to make the soccer team, Brad. Right. Like, did you do anything today before you jumped on PlayStation? Yeah. Right? Did you do your 20 minutes of touches and foot drills? And I don't want to break his chops, but like, I want him to get what he wants, right? Which is make that soccer team and be with his buddies, right? So I think that if you don't have that accountability, you're going to naturally just fall to like the lowest level of activity that you can get by with.
And I think there's an element to it too, that as agents, you owe it to yourself. Because I've said it many times before, I don't care if you're on a team, you're a solo agent, you're a broker, whatever the case may be, you're always running your own business. Right. So if you're working for a corporate sales job, or you're a consultant, whatever the case may be, whatever your job is, you're showing up every day from, let's say, 9 to 5, whatever your time is, right? Mm-hmm. Why aren't you showing up for yourself?
Right.
Like, if there's another company, another job, whatever it is that you're showing up for, if I'm doing this for myself, I should be showing up 2x.
Yeah.
And I think, again, what you said before, this job is not easy, but it's not hard at the same time.
Yeah, it's simple.
It can be very simple if you're on top of your tasks, if you're organized. And I think a very good point to make here is making sure you're always on top of your clients.
Right.
So that's like a stat, I forget what it is. I think it was 85% from a Zillow survey that they did, chose to work with buyers, would work with the most responsive agent. So like responsiveness in this day and age, take real estate out of it, is super important in anything that we do. Everyone wants what they want and they want answers right away. So I tell people all the time, someone reaches out to you and they need a question answered, give them a response. Say, hey, I'm busy. I'll get back to you shortly. Just acknowledge it, But, that over time, you see the people around you, how they're doing their business. Someone that has 5 active listings, getting their phone blown up all day long and managing that and seeing that in the office that is doable with the systems, especially the systems that we have, try to leverage some of those things. Your business can explode overnight.
Totally. I agree, man. And I want to go back to the simple, not easy thing, right? Because I think that's something that's said so often and it's almost a throwaway. Like, this business is simple, not easy. All right, let's break it down. It's simple. Why? Because you need to talk to people.
Right.
Literally, that's what you need to do. You need to talk to, we say 5 people a day proactively about real estate, and that's going to build you at least a 6-figure business, right? That's not hard. That's like easy. That's such a simple thing. But it's not easy. Why? Why is it not easy? Well, what gets in our way of that not being easy? It's because the human element of it. It's because people's brains get involved. Their monkey minds start going. They're
The
not
drunk
clear.
monkey.
Yep. And I think one of the things that really lets the brain get there, creates this hardness, being hard versus easy, is not having clarity on what the heck you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like, even like really good agents sometimes won't know, like, what I wake up, what am I supposed to do today? Who am I supposed to talk to? Where am I supposed to get these not having a plan. And I'm not saying everyone's plan has to be the same. There's multiple ways to get to talk to 5 people, but do you have clarity on what yours is going to be? And if you know, I'm going to go into my database and I'm going to call this list of 200 people, or I'm going to go into this cold list and I'm going to call 1,000 people, or I'm going to go to 3 networking events tonight and I'm going to hop networking events, I'm going to meet people, or I'm going to go do 3 open houses, like whatever it is, like you have to know what the work is before you can just wake up and do the work. And I think our industry is so subject to people just kind of floating through.
I think there's a gap there too, because a lot of people, from what I see, know what they need to do, but they don't end up doing it, right? So like, you can go into your CRM at any given day, pull your SOI list, right? Let's say it's a list of 200 people.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do, but you're not doing it because A, you're probably afraid of making the calls. B, I think you're afraid of making the calls because you're not practicing.
Yep.
And C, it goes back to the same thing we were talking about earlier, is if you're surrounding yourself with the people that are doing it, those conversations become just practice reps, right? At some point you're going to pick it up and you're going to be making those phone calls in your sleep. Now, another gap that I see with a lot of this is a lot of agents love this idea of prospecting and feeding the database. But guess what? That's where everything stops.
Yeah.
So, if you're thinking about this in a funnel, how do I move people down the funnel? Bill Pipe said it today. Have 5 conversations with those people in your database. Yeah. Not 5 calls, but like actually have 5 meaningful conversations. But there's a lot of elements that tie into that. Are you spending time to sharpen your skills? Are you doing market research? Are you digging into the data? Like, what am I doing when I'm calling you as my client to bring value?
Yep.
And that stuff is, something that you're just going to have to time block for and
I think that's
do over and over and over again until it becomes second nature.
I think that's huge, man, because like a lot of people do know what the work is, right? So like one step was not knowing what it is, but once you do, why then don't you do it? Now we're really getting into that mindset thing that you were just kind of going through. And I love what you broke down there. Like, if you don't have the skills, if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the preparation, I don't want to do that work and seem like an idiot.
Right.
And I don't want to call 5 people, have 5 conversations and stumble all over the place if I have no direction and so like not having that ability to learn and grow and get into the right trainings and get into the right infrastructure that can set you up for success. Like if you were Bill Pipe's meeting this morning, having 5 conversations today is infinitely easier than if you were not Bill Pipe's conversation this morning, right? Like that's clear as day.
But the beauty of it too, it's, forget about what you did in the last year. You can always just pick it back up. If you didn't do that for the last X amount of years, start doing it today. I'm not expecting anyone to start doing it 5 every single day. Start with 10 a week. Then after a couple of weeks, move to 15.
Lower the bar.
A month, right? You're getting to 25 a week. And then once you get there, I bet you anything, that muscle is going to be so strong at that point. You're like, all right, well, how can I make this 50 now?
Yep. I heard something awesome the other day that was, how do you build discipline? And you build discipline by keeping commitments to yourself.
Yeah.
So if your commitments are so big that you never hit them and you're constantly getting used to being someone who doesn't hit their own commitments. So if I'm saying I want 5 people a day and I just never do any because I never want to get the 5, lower that bar to what you start hitting them. Now you're building the personality. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. I'm building the personality of somebody who does what I said I'm going to do. So as I raise the bar, you're going to continue to have that personality of someone that does what they say they're going to do.
Well, that I think also ties into your goals and having the motivation behind it. And I'll give you a quick example. For the past couple months, I'm religious with going to the gym. I always love giving the example of the gym because a lot of people can relate to it. I don't miss more than 2 days a week. Whatever it is, I make sure that I'm going at least 5 days a week, and that's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the discipline for me. But when you get there, for the past 2 months, my workouts have been shit, right? And it's not because of anything. It's because I didn't really have a goal set in mind of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to get out of the gym, right? So yesterday, I noticed while I'm in the middle of my set that I can go for a few more reps. Why is that? That's because the night before, I literally sat down. I'm like, what are my goals, or what do I need to get to before my brother's wedding, which is in May? And my goal is just lose 10 pounds and add a little more muscle, something that I can probably do with my eyes closed if I sit down and plan it.
Right.
So guess what? I sat down and planned it, and all of a sudden yesterday, when I typically would do this, I forget what the weight was, 8 reps for that, I was able to go for 12. But that's because I was able to push myself to get to that goal. And that you can tie into really anything you do in life. That's what I was saying, is once you start doing that repetition with follow-ups, your prospecting skills, your presentation skills, your whatever it is that you do, you start to figure out a way to take it to the next level. It's like, how can I elevate my game?
Yeah, I think the big thing I heard there was intention, right? But I heard something else before that, which I think is important too, where you went to the gym for 2 months with no real intention.
No intention. I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. I was still consistent.
But you're so identified with someone who goes to the gym 5 days a week that even when you don't have intention, even when your workouts are shit, whatever, you're still going because you have ingrained that personality.
Exactly.
Right? But you didn't have that when you were born. Like, you built that by probably a few months of forcing yourself there. I love too, like when maybe 3 or 4 years, I've been really strong with my gym consistency, right? I've been on and off for 20, but like 3, 4, I went to the gym no matter what. Even if I went there for 5 minutes and threw a couple weights around and got out of there because I felt like shit, I built the consistency of someone who goes to the gym I'm the same way, 5 days a week.
It's part of your lifestyle.
Right. So and you have to build that, then you'll never lose it.
Yeah.
But then there's still room for intention. Like, there's still room to improve, right? So there's like a couple different things I think that are important there. So like, build the habit of being someone who shows up and does the work every day, even if the work is simple for a few months. Like, just get that habit. Then you can start putting some intention, get your numbers right, dial in. What's the results I want? What is the work it's going to take to get there? But you can't. I love this saying: you cannot steer a parked car.
Yeah,
you can't.
That's the best example.
No matter what you do,
you got to keep moving.
That's it. You got to get that thing moving first. Yeah. So even if it's 1 mile an hour for a little while, and start steering it.
What I mean by that too is, with that last couple of months that I wasn't seeing results, I was still maintaining, but I wasn't happy with it. Yep. I always want to improve and, do something bigger, something better, right? So like, if I tie that into my business and I'm going on listing presentations, say I have 10 appointments and I'm only getting 5 listings out of every 5 that I go to. What can I do to move that number from 5 to 6 and then 6 to 7? And then until I get to a point where I'm batting at 100%. Obviously, we all know that's probably very difficult to do in this industry. But if you continuously work on your craft in that sense and always analyze what we're talking about, failure today, same thing, same theme, right? One thing that stuck with me, I saw this on Instagram. It's one of those like corny posts, but it said, you fail, you learn, then you remove the L and you earn. So that's like,
I love that.
That's the motto of this business, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot that you can learn from the failure.
Yeah.
Then once you learn it, you're just going to start making more money.
I love that. I've never heard that one before. That's really good.
Yeah.
Remove the L. I got one more that I want to touch on, and then if there's anything else we can wrap, because this one I think is important though. I think a lot of times people don't do the work because they're unable to detach themselves from results and focus on their actions. So many people are like, well, if I do these things, I need to get that result by X. Or if I'm not going to get the results, I don't want to do. If I can't guarantee I'm going to get the results, I'm not going to do it. Or I don't know when the results are going to come. So what's the point of it? Like, there's like this, like, I need to have guarantee of the results, short-term gratification, whatever, like, way you want to frame it. And I think the people that are successful at this, and I'll go back to Danny as an example. I was around when Danny got his start 5 years ago, 6 years ago on Brett's team. Yeah. We shared an office. And that kid was in a freaking broom closet for 9 months, repeating the same damn script.
In a closet.
With no results. I don't think he got
9 months.
Deal.
9 months, I think it was.
People, if you could do that for 3 weeks, you'll start to see results. Like you have to be able to divulge from the results for a matter of weeks or months, and just trust the process, trust the system, trust that your actions and your activities are going to yield results eventually.
Yeah.
Because if you have I'll keep doing it, but I need results. I'll keep doing it, but I need results type of mentality, you're beat. You're shot. I talk to every new agent about the valley of despair.
Yeah.
Is you're going to start doing work, you're going to feel like you're getting it, and then nothing's going to happen. And you're going to be like, what is going on? It's 3 months. I've been working my butt off. I have maybe one deal if I'm lucky. This is bullshit, right? And that's guaranteed to happen. And if you could see through it, and use Danny as an example, use you as an example, use me, like anyone who's made it had to go through that. But you have to be able to let go of those results for a certain amount of time.
I think you have to trust the process is number one. And then B, you have to consistently be willing to put in the work.
Yep.
If you detach yourself from, like you said, I need to see the results will come as long as you're doing the work.
Exactly.
And what I've seen from, the agents that follow the blueprint, the agents that do the work, is when it pops, it really pops, and you're talking about 1, 2, 3 transactions in a given month.
Yep.
And it's like surfing. Once you get up on that wave, you just ride it. I mean, you've already figured out how to get up.
Yep. It becomes easier.
It becomes easier and easier. So
snowball gets created, like momentum. It's just,
And from the people that, do sales at a high level, anyone that you speak to, and I'm sure people have their hills and valleys, but every time they're in the valley, they're always, what am I doing to get up back on that hill? I'm doubling down and doing double the work.
Yep.
Like if you put in the work, the results will follow through with it.
And there's always going to be hills and valleys, to your point. I think the big thing is like,
how do I avoid that?
Yeah. But I don't know if it's totally avoidable.
Right.
But I know this is avoidable. So if you start here and your hill's here and your valley's here, and next year your hill might be here and your valley might be here.
Right.
And next year your hill might be, if you keep consistently compounding, now your valleys
going up.
are insanely higher than your hills used to be, right? So there's always going to be this feeling mentally of shit, why do I have nothing pending? Or why do I have only one pending? Or what's going on? It's a hill and valley, but it used to be my valley was zero and now my valley's 3.
2 or 3.
Exactly. So and I think people lose sight of that as their careers grow and they stay in their heads and they get frustrated with that if they don't have the proper perspective.
I mean, I think part of it is that's the right mentality to see, okay, like I'm in that valley because you don't want to be in that valley. But at the same time, if you take a look at your data and metrics, as long as you're improving year over year, you're not really seeing that, that gap in the valley is not as big.
Exactly.
So I think part of it is mindset too with the agents and analyzing their data. And I won't get into the data side of things, but that's something that I think a lot of agents need to pay closer attention to see what's working for them and what's not working for them, and doubling down on what's working really at the end of the day. But for any agent that's struggling in this industry, my advice would be just, if you put in the work, 5 conversations a day is really not that hard. It might take you an hour to do it. If you're working a corporate job, you're probably working for 8 hours a day. So think about what your time is worth. Think about what you're getting out of that hour. And just look at the bigger picture of what that's going to do for you in the next 60, 90 days, right? So if I keep putting that over and over and putting deals together, it's a compounding effect. So
for sure, man. I think to bring it home, like we talked about mindset, we talked about clarity, talked about being in the right culture and environment, right? And I think the key is like, if simple, not easy. Why is it not easy for you right now, right? Like look at the things we talked about and find the one that might be the linchpin to you. Like if I had that environment, if I had that clarity, if I had that why, if I had that skill set, right? There's something that's missing if it's not getting done. And it could be a couple of these things. It could be one of these things. And I think that's the key for any agent that wants to really make sure that they can get from inactivity to activity to results, right? Because that's where that's the line always goes. What do we miss? Anything left on the table?
No, I think we pretty much covered most of it, I would say. I mean, this is kind of a topic that we can rap about for 2-3 hours.
For sure.
I mean, the main points, I think we covered most of them. But I mean, if you look around here, most people are in the office, you know, making their phone calls. So just surrounding yourself.
That's it.
By that alone, I think will move the needle for most.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope you guys, anyone who watched this, I hope you guys got some good information here. You got some good value, some good tips, some things that you can kind of take a look inwardly and see which of these things really resonate with you. You want to set up a time, talk to either one of us about this one-on-one. Always happy to jump on a call and help somebody with any of this. Mm-hmm. So reach out, drop a comment, and we'll love to connect with you. So until the next one, see you guys.
Thank you.